Hello there, it's me, and this is my new channel. And just to let you know, this first video is not actually going to be about a book. I am, however, still going to talk about stories because we all love a good story, don't we? And what better place to start than with the very first story ever told? Well, maybe the Iliad or the Odyssey. You know, those are pretty great too. But today we'll be talking about the Bible because today I want to tell you the story of Jonah. Now, if you were raised in any sort of Christian household, then chances are you've heard this story before. It's the story of a man who was swallowed by a fish, a big fish. But most people remember the story of Jonah for one reason and one reason only. It is because they've been told that Jonah was a prophet of God who predicted the destruction of Nineveh, the capital of Assyria, unless the people repented for their evil ways. And when God saw that they did, he relented and spared the city. But you see, that's not really how the story goes. Let me explain. So Jonah, son of Amittai, is a prophet of God who lives in the little village of Gath-hepher. And one day God says to him, "Get up, go to Nineveh, the great city, and cry out against it, for their wickedness has come up before me." So Jonah gets up and journeys to Nineveh, which was a 9 days' walk away. And after 3 days of walking, Jonah decides to take a little detour to the port city of Jaffa. Well, he booked passage on a ship headed to Tarshish, probably because he wanted to escape his mission. You know, sometimes God asks us to do things that are kind of difficult, and instead of being obedient, we try to avoid what he's asked us to do. Kind of like when your mom asks you to clean your room and you say, "Okay," but then you spend the next 2 hours playing video games instead? Only Jonah's avoidance of his calling lasted a lot longer than 2 hours. In fact, it lasted for several days. Of course, God wasn't pleased that Jonah had disobeyed him, so he sent a great wind along with a mighty tempest. The sailors on board the ship thought they were going to die, so they threw in their idols to appease the gods. But Jonah knew full well what was happening. He knew it was his fault they were in this mess. And when the ship's crew woke up the next morning and realized that the storm had calmed, they questioned Jonah as to why he had even prayed for them and asked him what they could do to save themselves. Now obviously, Jonah should have told them it was his fault and that they should throw him overboard. But instead, he told them to throw one of their idols into the sea. Okay? Maybe I'm wrong. He definitely should have just told them it was his fault and that they should throw him overboard. But he said that they should throw one of their idols into the sea. And when they did, the tempest abated. Then the sailors feared greatly, and they called out to the Lord. They made a vow, they offered sacrifices, and they cast lots to find out who was responsible for the storm. And guess what? It was Jonah. So now, knowing that Jonah was the cause of their misfortune, the sailors wanted to get rid of him. So they picked him up, and though they tried to, they could not cast him up onto the land. And being that they couldn't cast him up onto the land, they cast him into the sea. Now, inside the belly of the fish, Jonah waited 3 days and 3 nights until he prayed to God. And God spoke to the fish and commanded it to disgorge Jonah upon the dry land. And that's exactly what the fish did. And so God was very angry with Jonah because he had disobeyed him. But Jonah didn't realize that God was angry with him. Instead, he was just happy to be alive. And he knew that God was gracious because God had spared him from certain death at the hands of the sailors and at the hands of the fish. And I think that's a great lesson for us all. Sometimes we need to be reminded that even though God is just, he's also merciful and kind. So, thank you for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button below. It helps out the channel so much. Also, leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Should I keep doing these? Should I go back to doing book reviews? What should I do? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. Signing out.